This episode is powered by Act Now Education. Go to www.actnoweducation.com for free comprehensive educational resources and opportunities for active duty, veterans, military spouses, and children. Warriors fall in. It's time for formation. We are calling our shot. It's the Military Spouse Takeover, where Act Now Education is helping 1,000 military spouses launch their careers. This is a podcast special, folks. I have a guest from our military community who's the Director IT Program Delivery at LA Care Health Plan. She's been both a soldier and a military spouse and is now an ACP mentor. I'm joined with Tanya Bonelli. Tanya, thank you for joining us on the Morning Formation Podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and speak regarding ACP and the military spouses and what we do for our military forces. I really appreciate that. So I'm glad to be here.
The honor is all mine. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, directing. And before the show started, you talked about how you've been speaking all day because you've been hiring like a frenzy over there, over at the LA Care Health Plan, which is exciting because it's great to hear that there's opportunities out there growing. But before we get into all that, I'd like for you to share with us a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your background.
Awesome. Thank you. So I am, first of all, I'm a mom. I'm already a grandmother. I'm a happy grandmother and a happy mother, and I am a lover of people. So all of those things together got me to where I am today, working in program and project management. I've spent my entire career, minus the first few years of my career that I spent as a soldier in the U.S. Army Reserve. My career has been spent in healthcare. So having a passion for helping people is a great way to take my structured and organized way of being and bring that to the general population. So I started off in the Army Reserves as a little skinny runt. I'm almost 6 feet tall, so I was tall and very, very thin. 18-year-old in basic training. So that you can imagine that must have been really interesting trying to get push-ups out of me. I could run, but the push-ups, not so much. And then from there, I pretty much moved into working in healthcare. I worked in a lot of different areas of healthcare. And probably, I would say maybe 10 years into my career is where I got into the project management domain in IT. So I'm a healthcare IT professional. As a military spouse, I was very young. I was a young military spouse. My husband was a cook in the Marine Corps. I have a ton of family and friends that have been in the military. Some family members and friends are still in there. And I just have a true passion for helping veterans and spouses and people who are connected to our military family, because I've always had this feeling that when it comes to military in the U.S., our people get left out. And so that's really, really important to me. And so when I had the opportunity through one of the jobs that I was working before I went to LA Care Health Plan, I had the opportunity to work with ACP and become a mentor. And I've been mentoring with them ever since. I think I'm going on like 6 years. It's been a real pleasure to see the growth and to have so many opportunities to work with very, very different mentees from year to year. So I've really enjoyed doing that.
You know, when you talk about the military community being left out, that's very true in my opinion. And I hate to play the victim of anything ever in my life. You know how we are in the military. We're always like, oh, we can do it. You know, don't leave me out. We tend to be very humble about who we are, but we don't make excuses. And I'm not making excuses, but at the end of the day, statistics are true that I think right around 8% of the entire U.S. population ever serve in the military. So with that being said, you know, when you release us out into the world, into the civilian world, you know, that makes up for 90% of folks that never served, which is 90% of folks that might be a recruiter that's going to be sitting across from the table from you looking to hire you. And so it can be very difficult to leave out folks who are military spouses or military veterans who have that experience. Because when I start talking about advanced individual training, for example, or what I did as a NCO, a lot of folks won't understand that because of the likelihood of you sitting across from someone who actually served in the military. So it's really, really refreshing to see folks like you who have a little taste of what it's like to be a soldier. You have a taste of what it's like to be a military spouse as well. And you're actually reaching back. You're a mentor. You're taking the time to help build up our community when it comes to making that career transition. And specifically, when you were in the military, I'm just curious for my own, like, what was your MOS?
I was 71 Lima. I was an admin. So, so really, the work that I do now is very heavily administrative, project management. So I'm a process improvement specialist. I'm a master black belt, Lean Six Sigma. I'm not talking about fighting. Probably somebody could beat me up, but if it comes to process improvement and making processes more efficient, I'm your girl. And I also am a PMP, which is a project management professional. So the fact that you asked me that question is pretty funny because I started in admin, and admin is all about being organized and, getting your paperwork together, making sure that people have the things that they need. So I feel like from the beginning, I started in the right place with doing that. But, I wanted to mention something because you stated that, you mentioned, AIT, and you mentioned when you're talking about what you did as an NCO and how people who are sitting across the table don't really get it. And that's one of the great things about this mentoring program is because there are those of us who are here to help those people get it, right? And so it's all in making sure that you're changing the words that you're using from military speak to regular civilian speak. And that's one of the great things about this program. When you go into the program, the person is basically a profile is created on the mentor and the mentee, and we ask, what do you need help with? We also do resume review. I've done everything for my mentees, so I have said, oh, you're nervous about an interview? Let's do a mock interview right now. And they're like, wait, what? You want to do a mock interview? I said, we could do it right now. Let's do it right now. And I'm going to ask you some questions. So this mentoring from where I sit is really about truly showing people tactical, hands-on. How do I walk in the door? What should I say? What should I not say? What is it like, being in the project management role in the civilian environment? What is it like when you go to work, right? A lot of people don't know what to expect. And in the program, I've mentored officers. I mentored a officer out of the Air Force. He was a pilot. I've mentored a gentleman that was in the Navy. I think he was like a E8, E9. I don't remember his rank exactly. I mentored someone who was just like like a junior level NCO and was getting out. And I've mentored a couple of spouses, and they all basically are uncertain about what to expect and how to navigate corporate America, basically, with the kinds of roles that they're looking for. So I think it's a great opportunity to help with the things that you mentioned, that soldiers and veterans and their spouses struggle with.
Yeah, my next question was going to be, what was your overall motivation for your career path? But it sounds like from the get-go, from your MOS leading up into your certifications, which by the way is extremely impressive, Six Sigma Black Belt and PMP, that's no easy task. I looked at getting a PMP at one point and I was extremely intimidated with the amount of work that was going to take place. And me being a project management MBA, I do highly value the project management overall tasks and things that you learn while getting that certification, how important it is to understand how to be organized, efficient, and on time with your deliverables. I wanted to ask you, it sounds like you have mentored military spouses to NCOs to really high-ranking officers. And speaking as a former military commissioned officer myself, I felt like when I got out, I kind of got in my own way. I thought that I could do it myself. I don't need help. Do you find a lot of military folks sort of have that issue where, I got this, I don't need mentorship, I can figure it out on my own? Or do you find that a lot of military folks come to you willingly and openly looking for help?
So, so with the experience through ACP, the individuals who've been assigned to work with me, they want the help. They want, they're very inquisitive. They want to know anything that I can give them. I mean, they want to know, just like you mentioned, you got an MBA in project management. You're thinking about doing the PMP. Usually people overload themselves and they're trying to do all of this stuff at once. And they want to know, am I doing the right thing? Am I taking the right step? Where I find that people, are unsure is when I'm out in the street, right? Like, so when I'm not mentoring through the program, if I meet someone or know someone who's in the military, they'll talk about their career. Like I have a friend, for instance, who was a captain, got out of the military, and said, "Oh, in case the person hears me on this station, but I'm going to do an admin assistant position." And I was puzzled because the person has so much experience to give, more than what an administrative person would do. And what I find is some of the military personnel are afraid to maybe take that leap at the level that they were working while they were in the military. So, I always try to make sure that people understand these are just human beings that you're working with. It is a different world, but it's something that can definitely be navigated. Like there no, you can go and be a superstar because that's within you. If you were rocking it out in the military and you were, all about your business and you did what you needed to do, you'll be good to go when you go into your civilian career, as long as you put that same energy into it. And so I think it depends on the person, but I can say that the individuals who've made the decision to come through the program, they want the help. They want to know how to get to that next step. And, I have a good track record so far. So, so far, all of the mentees that I've worked with have gotten excellent careers going. And I keep in touch with all of my mentees. Sometimes I'll just text them and say, "Hey, how are you doing? I just wonder, are you still at the same place? Let me know if you need anything." And that's the other thing. I would guess that other mentors are also making themselves available to their mentees, because you're with your mentee for 6 to 12 months. So you do really create a bond. So, you get that kind of lifelong person who can help you along the way, even later on in your career, if they have a problem or I'm uncertain how to deal with this. This is new to me in this domain. So yeah, I think it's a mixed bag, but I do believe that the individuals who come through the program are anxious and inquisitive, and they want to know and they want the help.
Tanya, I always found it so challenging whenever I was in front of my formation and I would try to inspire, motivate, entice the soldiers to take advantage of the education center. And, it's easy when someone comes to you for help, but it's really challenging when somebody doesn't quite understand the challenge that's in front of them before they take that career transition leap out of the military and understand like how to invest in themselves. And I understand what you're saying too. And it's surprising to hear that some people are, some people think that they have to take a leap down when they make that career transition. That's very disheartening, but it's great to hear that you're there to kind of pick them up and motivate them to say, hey, you don't have to take a leap down in your career. You can take a leap up, or a lateral leap, I guess you should say. And over the years, with you being an ACP mentor, would you mind describing any career pain points that you've had experiences with, or you've heard others that have had experiences with, and what are some of the issues that you've seen as far as being a military spouse with a career?
So, in terms of some of the pain points that I've seen from some of my mentees is just really trying to navigate how to get started looking for a job, or trying to get in their next career step started. So every person that's come to me, because I have like 25 years of experience in the project management domain, every person that comes to me is really matched up quite well. So there are people who are interested in, they think they're interested in project management, maybe some process improvement. And so those are the types of individuals that I get. And even though they have some experience, they have questions about, okay, so where should I look? Like some people don't know what industry to look in. The great thing about project management is once you learn the tools and you learn the tricks of the trade and you learn how to project manage as a professional, you can take that into any domain, whether it's healthcare, automotive. I had one person that went to work for an airport at the program level, so at the management level. I had one person who worked for I think Toyota. I had a couple of spouses. One of them was more of a data analyst and worked at many different places while we were working together. So I think that those are some of the initial challenges. Is where do I start? Where do I look? I'm going from working. Some of the folks have, especially the veterans, like they go from working, doing something where they cannot really see opportunity that's completely transferable. So if like my husband was a cook, so you can go from being a cook to a cook, right? That's easy. Like I'm a cook. I can go and find a job. But if you did something in the military that's not really, one-to-one, you have to really start thinking about what are the skills that I was using while I was doing my job. So was I facilitating a lot of meetings? Was I creating presentations? Was I needing to resolve issues and need to identify where the risks are, right? So all of that project management speaks. So they kind of have a problem with that. And then one of the other things is, I think, again, that fear of, oh my gosh, I got people to call me back on my resume. What do I do? That's another area, is just trying to get them prepared and make them, help them to feel comfortable that, hey, it's just an interview. You know yourself, and that's what you're selling. You're selling you. You're selling all of these great communication skills. You're going to tell that story about, this project you were working on. They don't care about what the project was, but you were working on the project. There was a situation presented. This is the task I did. Here's the actions that were taken, and here was the result. So that's the STAR method, right? So they learn how to sort of, okay, I can make it relatable. So I think those were some of the major challenges that I've seen from spouses and veterans as they kind of go through the program.
It's always such a challenge to kind of collect, formulate, and then also translate those skills, which is sort of what you're talking about when you're talking about the STAR method, the situation, task, actions, and results. And sometimes it takes someone to simply clarify that. And that's exactly what you're talking about. And you keep talking about project management. I'm in love with project management because I like I said, I got my graduate degree, and I got my graduate degree in project management, and it's so universal. And with that being said, when you talk about, where do I start? And that is something that I find a lot of folks, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's education, whether it's certification, whether it's where do I go with my entire career. That's why it's so fascinating and outstanding that there's folks like you who are serving as ACP mentors, because you can have that conversation with someone and help them find who they are and what they really want to do. And, that's why I have you as a guest on the show today, because I think it's absolutely outstanding that there's folks like you willing to take their time and volunteer to be an ACP mentor. And now, Tanya, with all the career things that we've spoken about today, would you mind talking about how many years you've been specifically with ACP as a mentor, and about how many mentees have you had over the years, and describe the overall impact of the organization itself?
So I think this is I'm pretty sure I'm either leaving out of my fifth year and going into my sixth year, I believe. I've had six mentees, because you get your mentee is assigned to you for 6 to 12 months. So it's a long haul, right? Because you want to make sure that the person is set up properly. And I I'm a glutton for punishment. So I never take a break from it because I love it. I think I just want to make one comment when you said that, it's great that there are people who are willing to do this. Where my heart is that it is awesome that there are people who are willing to put their life on the line every single day so we can go to sleep at night and watch TV and Netflix and go out and play basketball and go to church and do all of these things that we do without even thinking about it. So for me, it is a very small thing that any of us can do to give back to those people who protect us every day, right? And we don't even think about it, right? But that is what's happening when these young men and women are going out, getting on the ship, going away for 6 months, doing all of their training and even going into conflicts. So I do want to say that I think it's very important to say. And then as far as the impact of this program, it has such a large impact. I think that when you and I'm going to talk about my last mentee, my most recent mentee that we just ended our mentoring assignment just about a month or so ago. Bright young woman, she has her family, she's moved, telling me all the time like, oh, we might move here, we might go there, what am I going to do? And just kept powering after whatever she wanted. And at some point everyone starts to think, can I really do this? And I think the biggest impact is because they get into the program. So actually joining the ACP mentoring program is the most important step. And the biggest impact that they see at the end of the day is I accomplished all of these things, right? Half of the stuff that's on my list that I accomplished through this mentorship program, I didn't even know that I wanted to do that, but we figured it out together. And I did that. I mean, like I got my resume, I updated my LinkedIn, I have my elevator speech. I know what to say if I see some important CEO and it's he's part of the company I want to work for, or some manager or some director, or I'm out and I'm networking. I know how to network now. I know where to go to meet people. I know what to say. I know how to convince people that I know what I'm doing and I know how to sell myself. And guess what? I got, my career is off to the races. So every single person that I've mentored has gotten the type of job that they've wanted. And they've all been a career, because these are all people who have decided to do project management, minus one young lady was into data analytics. But I think that's the biggest impact, is that our mentees walk away feeling proud, feeling strong, feeling accomplished, and being able to see that, hey, this wasn't so bad after all. This 12 months was awesome. And by the way, Tanya, can I call you if I need anything else, or if I have questions? And that happens. So I think that that's the biggest impact, is building up that confidence and seeing that at the end of the day, I will get what I'm looking for, and then so much more. I mean, it's always been so much more. I have mentees who've put down, they just wanted to, I just need resume help. And then they come out of it like, wow, I got this wonderful job offer. Can we talk about it? And I think that's the best feeling that I get of accomplishment for me, being able to help these folks who desperately need us to help, right? Like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, because I mean, we've all been there before. You know what it's like to be lower enlisted. You know what it's like to have to struggle and strive and thrive through, at the end of the day, military spouses serve and service members, veterans, we've all sacrificed, whether you deployed or you didn't deploy. At the end of the day, you were plucked from your bubble, from your hometown, and you were placed somewhere that was outside of your comfort zone. And you had to figure it out for yourself, and you had to grow up early in life. And become an adult fairly quickly. And so what you're doing as an ACP mentor is very honorable. And you're certainly serving the folks out there within our community, our entire military community, who have made major sacrifices for their own lives. And I like to think that folks like you and I, we really are family. And I love talking to folks like you because you're a lot like me when it comes to being inspired and motivated. I always I always love hearing a happy ending when it comes to career transition, and it sounds like you're the same on a lot of levels where I am as well. Specifically for this campaign, why do you think military spouses should consider signing up with ACP and getting that mentorship? What would you say to that military spouse out there who doesn't necessarily see themselves as someone that should undertake this sort of thing because it may not be for them and maybe they can do it on their own?
I think that that is, I think that military spouses should do this because there is a lot to be had. One thing that I want to point out is it's not like I'm some kind of special person. So every other mentor that's part of ACP has an incredible wealth of knowledge, background, education, hands-on experience. And because ACP does an excellent job at when they get the profiles for either person at matching you with a mentor who's going to fit what you need, this is already a step above other mentoring programs. I've mentored in several different programs, and a lot of the programs they look at personality. They'll do the personality and the behavioral test to see if your personalities match. But what ACP is doing is looking at what your history is, what kind of work you're looking to do, what kind of experience you have, and then they go and get the best of the best in that field. That is just like a tremendous network of people to be connected to, right? Because not everyone has hands-on someone who is a director or a CEO or, the manager of accounting or some data scientist that's, data sciencing their life away. Not everyone has access to that when they're getting a mentor. So a lot of the mentoring programs like say, hey, Tanya's a dominant person. I need to make sure that I match her with someone who can, deal with her personality and vice versa. But that's it. ACP is matching you up with the person who can help you with specifically what you think that you want to do. And even if you are not quite sure, they're going to look at what it is that you have done, what you have an interest in doing, and then they're going to match you up with someone who can help you think through that. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity to have a partner and think about it. Like if you weren't a military spouse or a service member and you just were starting your life out, you're pretty much on your own to figure it out. And this way you have a partner who's going to be there for you, who's going to give you the tools, walk you through when you have issues or problems or you're confused about things, and sort of help you set yourself up for success. So I think that that's the best reason why a military spouse should do this. And military spouses are awesome. That's the other thing. They have so many different skill sets, and we need that in corporate America. We need to have, and not just corporate America, because, you could be mentored, you could be a chef, whatever it is, whatever your domain is. We need military spouses because they are built and made with grit. They have a lot of spirit. They have a lot of spunk. They're very smart. They're flexible, adaptable. I mean, some of the best people on earth. So the world needs that. And so this is a good starting place for that, for someone looking to transition into a new career. And I'm going to purposely say career because I know we spoke about that earlier. But these are careers that are being born, right? And sometimes people are on a second career. So it's definitely worth trying. And there's nothing to lose, there's nothing to lose by joining up, signing up, having that first conversation, and then you'll be hooked because the people are just awesome.
I certainly agree with what you're saying there. And speaking from my own personal experience, being a former Army captain myself, when I made that career transition out of the military, I was probably my own worst enemy when it came to not having a conversation with a mentor about how to make that transition proper. And I was sort of all over the place. And I ended up taking the first job that was offered to me, and I was there for about a year before I quit and moved on to my next job. I really think that having someone like yourself who is very inspirational when it comes to looking at your overall background and your overall education and your journey so far. I mean, at the end of the day, you've kind of paved the path. So instead of you having someone else pave their own path, you can actually go back and tell them, hey, these are all the pitfalls that I experienced that I want to help you avoid. And that's something that I really wish I had taken advantage of, and I didn't take advantage of it. And so I always say we can be our own worst enemy when it comes to those sort of things. And, in your own experiences, aside from signing up for ACP or signing up for including ACP mentoring, how can military spouses overcome some of the obstacles of career development?
I think the thing is to be intentional with anyone, whether you're a military spouse or not. The thing about the career is to be intentional. And I'll just share a little bit more about myself.
Yeah.
I was born in Chicago, Illinois. I was born in um, uh, during a time when the time was better than it is now. But I was born in Chicago, Illinois, in the neighborhood that I came from. I wouldn't want to go there right now to the neighborhood that I came from. It wasn't the best neighborhood ever. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best. And so I think that everything that you do, you have to be very intentional about, right? I think that you have to be intentional about what you want. You have to have pride and have, find that confidence. And if you don't necessarily, maybe there's some things that happen to you in life. I had a lot of things that happen. You'd be surprised to hear my story. But the bottom line is that I want it better for myself. And so I think that having that confidence and understanding that, you know, and if you want to grow yourself, and if you want to, even if it's just for personal development, you have to figure out what are the steps that are going to help me to get there. And having people who are willing to give their time and to sow into you, and to pour, what they have into you is such a great gift. To have, people who do this kind of mentoring and volunteering, they have a passion for it. And that's something you can't buy. And by the way, it's free. You don't have to buy it. So I think it's very, very important to be very intentional. So the thing that I would tell anyone, a military spouse, is think about what you think you like, what you want to do. If you're not sure, there's all kinds of different assessments that you can do to kind of help you figure out. There are people that you can talk to. There are materials that you can get your hands on. You can potentially shadow some folks, or at least get an idea of what is this job really like. Tanya talked a lot about project management. What does that really mean? So, or being a chef, in some 5-star restaurant, what does that really mean? I have a friend right now who's a veteran who started out as a cook in the Marine Corps, and she wants desperately to be into hospitality. And I told her, go to the hotel and see if you can, shadow them. Tell them, hey, I'm a veteran. Go see if you can work an event. Go get your hands wet and that thing. So those are the things that I would do, that I have done. I've been very intentional about where I wanted my career to go, and some things I was like, what was I thinking? Right? Like, you try something and it's not exactly what you want, but you don't let that deter you, because folks who are military veterans, spouses, like I said, we have a lot of grit, a lot of adaptability, flexibility. So that didn't work, throw that thing out to the side and try something new. I would just say keep trying and keep going for it. And my favorite word in the whole wide world, my daughter can attest to this, is persevere. And so that's what we need to do, is just have some perseverance and have that sort of go get 'em attitude. And I think that people can just reach the stars.
I love it. I love the advice, Totally love the advice, because when you talk about being intentional, that is 100%, um, true when it comes to figuring out what it is that you want to do for yourself, but then also, um, following and staying true to your career path and making sure that you have that clear vision. And when you talked about, making sure that, that you do well for yourself, basically because folks out there who mentor you and go to bat for you, I can tell you that for me over the years, whenever someone's has stuck their neck out for me or spent extra time with me, or even if it was someone that helped raise me over the years, there was a scene in Private Ryan in the very beginning where Private Ryan is visiting the gravesite of the captain that was killed, and he says, I lived my life for you. And that's a much bigger concept, but on a smaller concept for ourselves, we've had a lot of folks who have been involved in our own lives who have made tremendous sacrifices for us. And a lot of times, even for me, that's been my motivation and my drive whenever the going gets tough, the tough get going, right? And so for me, I think about the folks in my life who have sacrificed and have really stuck their own necks out for me and spent time with me to help me develop, and yeah, as my motivation. So I understand what you're saying when you talk about that. And just to final out the show, I just want to ask you, is there any advice or anything that you'd like to mention that we didn't talk about during this episode that you'd like to talk about now, or mention to our guests out there who are listening to this? Or I mean, sorry, our audience out there
Yeah.
who's listening to this.
I would just say be kind to yourself. And in terms of being intentional, don't feel like you have to do everything at once. That's one of the things a lot of us, regardless of who you are, where you come from, we feel like, oh, I want to go, do this job or have this career, and we try to do every single thing that we can. So some might go, oh, she has a PMP and she has this and she has that. I got the certifications that I got because at the time that I decided to make that choice, it was something that I knew it would better my career. But it doesn't mean that on day one you have to be PMP certified or you have to have whatever certification you're going for. Just be kind to yourself, and don't overwhelm yourself, because it's not as hard as you think, and it doesn't necessarily require a whole bunch of accolades to do that. I think sometimes one thing I want the people to leave with is I don't want someone to sit here and listen to what we're talking about and go, well, he has an MBA and she has this and she has that. That means nothing, because we didn't have those things before. That's something that we picked up along the way. So you can start your career. You can, start taking baby steps to look at what you want to do, and you'll decide along the way what those things are that you need. Because sometimes you don't need exactly the same thing that Tanya or KP got. You may not need those things, and you may be able to work in a similar field, or to do the thing that you dream of doing. Your path there may be a little bit different. That is one thing that it breaks my heart when people are like, sometimes they're so overwhelmed because they're like, I'm in the master's program, I'm in this, I'm in that. And I'm like, wait, hold up, stop. Why are you doing all of these things at once? Not saying that you shouldn't do them ever, but just, think about it. So I like to tell people to be kind to themselves and be okay, because you're already enough. You already have something that you're bringing with you that's going to be good to bring to the table. We just got to figure out which is the right table for you.
Tanya, that's actually really, really solid. You definitely have to have a balance in there of taking care of yourself, loving yourself, but then also investing in yourself. And I think that throughout your journey and your career, you've done an outstanding job with that. And if anyone out there listening is interested in contacting you because they'd like to discuss anything that you mentioned today a little bit further, what's the best way that they can contact you? What social platforms are you on that they can follow you on? Would you mind mentioning that?
Yeah, I'm definitely on LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn. My via my email is Tanya Bonelli at yahoo.com. You can email me there. That's TANYA BONELLI at yahoo.com. And I would love to answer any questions or, help anybody who wants to get a start or has questions for me concerning my background or, the things that I've done or things that they might want to do.
Awesome. Awesome. And I just want to thank you for spending time with us here on the Morning Formation podcast to inspire our military spouses out there who may feel like, having an actual career while they're in the military isn't for them. In reality, you have folks like Tanya here who is more than willing to sit down with you and have a conversation on what are your ultimate goals. Because even if you can take care of the small targets right now, whether it's certifications or maybe it's something as big as getting a graduate degree or an undergraduate degree, start planning your career, start planning your path, start finding that light, because you got folks out there like Tanya here who she's already been there, done that. She understands what it's like to be on both sides of a military spouse and a soldier. So utilize the assets and the resources that you have with ACP and its overall mentorship program. So, Tanya, I want to thank you for joining us on the Morning Formation. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast. Thank you so much.
The honor is all ours, as I always say. And for all our audience members out there listening, I want you to stay tuned, stay focused, and stay motivated. Warriors, fall out. You've been listening to the Morning Formation podcast. I hope you found today's materials helpful and of value to your current situation. You can connect with me on Instagram at the_morning_formation_podcast, or you can connect with me via email at theformationpodcaster@gmail.com. Also, I would like to thank my partners at Act Now Education for their support. Authenticity, community, and trusted is what you can expect from all members of the Act Now Education team. You can link up with them today and learn about some new, free educational resources on their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or at their website, actnoweducation.com. Whether today's show took you back to a nostalgic time or helped you think about tomorrow, thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again. Stay safe and stay motivated. Warriors, fall out.